So far, we've seen how we can define instance attributes and call upon instance attributes. And in our current dog class, we've defined an instance attribute called name and an instance attribute called age. In this video, we're going to take a look at what are known as class object attributes. And class attributes are attributes that have the same value for all class instances. Now we can define a class attribute by assigning a value to a variable name outside of the init method. So for example, we know that all dogs form part of the animal kingdom. So we can define a variable outside of our init method called kingdom, and we can set this equal to the string animal. Underneath this class object attribute, you can see we have the init method defined, where we've defined the name attribute and the age attribute. So what will this do? Well, every time we create an instance of the dog class, we can define a name and an age, and these will be specific to that instance of the class. But we'll now be able to call upon a class attribute called kingdom, and it will always state animal, irrespective of the instance of the class that we call it from. So if I type my_dog and I set this equal to a call on the dog class, so we'll put dog, and in brackets we'll pass in Bruno and the age 4. When I now call upon my_dog and use dot notation, when we press tab, you can see that we have name and age as previously defined as instance attributes, but this time we have an attribute called kingdom. When I call upon the kingdom attribute, you can see that we return animal. If I also define your_dog and set this equal to a dog called Polly, and Polly is 5, you can see that when I call upon your_dog dot kingdom, we once again bring back the same string animal. Now class attributes are defined directly beneath the first line of the class name and are indented by 4 spaces, just like we saw when we defined the init method. A class attribute must always be assigned an initial value, and when an instance of the class is created, class attributes are automatically created and assigned to their initial values. In this example, it's the string animal. So we use class attributes to define properties that should have the same value for every class instance, and we use instance attributes for properties that can vary from one instance to another.